What's up everyone, it's Mark, and in the last couple videos that I've done, I keep showing this box. And this is going to be how to keep your paints wet while you're working on a painting. Now, as a starving artist, I was always trying to be thrifty. If you go to an art store and you purchase a container to keep your paint wet, chances are it's a flat bottom container. It costs you $20, $30, $40, $50. Charge you whatever they want. On the flip side, you go to a store like Walmart, you get yourself a container that has these little curves on the bottom because it's a container that's made for deviled eggs. This is your palette. It has a sealable container top on it. You mix your paints in each one of these little guys here, and it's not flat bottom. When you're working with a flat bottom container, your stuff kind of blends and bleeds, falls into one another. This will keep it nice and organized. This is my ideal palette. I mix my colors in here, I paint, I come back to it later on, take the lid off of it, I pick up where I left off. Now this is going to be for acrylic. When you're working with oils, it doesn't matter. You can just leave them out in the open. They'll stay good for a few days. I mean, you could put them in a container, but it's not as necessary. When it comes to working with acrylics paints though, they dry very quickly. The challenge is this: if you're working on a painting, especially in a large scale, and you mix a color, when you go to mix that exact same color a second time because you ran out, chances are you're not going to be able to get the right color. So what I do is I pre-mix a lot of color. This is a kind of a mess, but I mix a lot of colors in here. And I also have a technique where I thin the paint using like flow release enhancers or some kind of a thinning medium, or you could even use water. That way that they last longer. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to work with one of these and how to set up the paints. Now, I also will put in a paper towel. It's dry now, and I keep it wet. And I soak a paper towel in water, put it in here, put the lid on it, and what that does is it keeps it moist. Now, I've used this for several paintings. It's time to clean the palette. And when it's time to clean my palette, I actually let it air dry for a few days. And then from there, we clear it out. What I'll show you next is how I clean it. What you're gonna need is very simple. Number one, a garbage can, something to put the trash into. You're also gonna need a putty knife or a palette knife or something to scrape with. Butter knife works too. All I'm gonna do is use my knife, and I'm just gonna scrape out each one of these cells. We'll start with this yellow right here. Just get underneath it. Boom. Now we'll go do the red. There we go. Now I'm basically just going to repeat. I'm going to go through and just kind of scrape each one of these and then peel it off all the way through the whole container. Eventually it's going to get like this. We got most of it out, but we can't leave these little critters in here, right? What happens is I scrape this often, so it leaves a little texture and the paint tends to want to stick in there. So I want to get this also out, and you can use a spoon or a butter knife or your fingernail. You can use the bristly part of the sponge to scrub it out. You don't want to leave it, because what's going to happen when you go to mix another color is that these little pieces or flakes will end up in your paint, and they're going to leave a really nasty texture on your canvas, almost like pock marks or acne or something like that. So we're going to get rid of that now. Okay, we're going to start with the red, and I'm using an old discarded scrubby sponge here. My wife had it under the sink. Can't use the brand new ones because I get in trouble. But just like this, completely clean. Moving on to the next cell. Now, if you want to use it, this is using a butter knife that I stole out of the kitchen. Okay, so I got most of the stain off. Now it's just crumbs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it out and I'm going to hit it with the water hose. Then you can close it up. Boom, paint stay wet. So I hope you found this helpful, and if you did and want to see more, just make sure you subscribe, like, or leave a comment. Let me know what you're working with and maybe anything else that you want some help with. Thanks for watching.